Once again, welcome and thank you for being here. That she is tenacious and hardworking. She has a calm persistence about her that is the hallmark of the very best and most experienced pilots with whom I've flown. So it is no surprise to me how that persistence has manifested her many professional achievements.
Well, good evening. It's an honor to see everyone here. I really don't have words to say how I feel, except that I'm very humbled and surprised. With the pandemic, I had the right idea, since I was working full-time, to start curating some of these poems. And I thought, well, no one's going to really pay attention to a chapbook if it doesn't have illustrations, because pilots like pictures. So we invited children of pilots to illustrate some of the poems. And that first book, Beyond Haiku, Pilots Write Poetry, which is now translated into Spanish, was the first book published in 2020. And the decision to donate all proceeds from these books to aviation scholarships was just the icing on the cake, because we want to be able to give something back to future generations of pilots. So that's how this all started. So then the project began with Women Pilots Write Poetry. And we had no content for that because there was no thread. So the major women pilots organizations put out a poetry submission request. The 99s, Women in Aviation International, ICEPOS 21, and other smaller organizations. And I started receiving poems and haiku. We had specified haiku, but the women pilots, all types of pilots, not just professional, started sending in poems that were longer, and haiku as well. As I received the poems, my usual working time was about 2 a.m. That's when my mind starts becoming poetic. I started to realize that there was a commonality of feeling within these poems. And then I started to wonder, well, if the women feel like this today, did they feel like this before? And then I started researching whether along with the poems of 56 women pilots from 10 countries. We have, I believe, at least a couple of authors here today, including Liz Booker and Bethany Miller, who are in the book. And we have a lot of artists who will be coming up, at least a little bit to show their work. So that's how this book came about. And we also have poems from Louise Thaden, who was another pioneer. And because I do have a sense of humor, sort of like Dr. Aldrin, I included poems that were clipped by Delphine Bone, who was a wasp. These poems were not digitized, they were cut, clipped into scrapbooks, and they were contained in the UT Dallas archives. So I called the archivist Patricia Nava. I said, Ms. Nava, would you be able to go to the box, because it's COVID, we don't have access to it, and look at this scrapbook to see if they're in there, and if they are, whether we have permission. So these are not by women, these are by men, but Delphine Bone liked them. And because she liked them, they're in the book. And they're historic World War II poems as well. So we have a little bit of a mix in voice and gender in the book. So that's the book that is being launched today. And then what's in the future? There are 2 more books in the Beyond Haikus. Military Pilots Write Poetry, I have 2 co-authors. Elizabeth Booker is one, and Helmut Reda, Colonel, Air Force retired, is another. So 3 of us are going to be doing that. And the final one in the series is Seasons of a Pilot's Life. And that is a beautiful cover. We have had assistance from the American Society of Aviation Artists. All of the work, and right now the volunteers for this project are approximately, I would say, at around the 450 level, including all of the children, the parents of children, the pilots, everyone who has helped with this. So it's not a small project, it's becoming a large project. Once we are complete with this 4-book series, that, Captain Walter, will be the end. There is one more book in play that is starting now, and this is a journalistic wedding. There will be art. There are going to be 12 pilot stories. The intention is for there to be one pilot story for each continent. And we want them to be unique and diverse and to give a view of pilots from different parts and their feelings, different genders, different types of flying. One of my co-authors is here today, Walter Villa, a writer for the Herald, and we have already begun the interview process. So the books are all going to be translated into Spanish, at least initially. But the translator that I'm working with, the company, is Irene Malalonzola of ISD Translations, and she's here tonight. And it's not an easy process. She has a team, they're all from Argentina. We call them, I said, you know, they're from close cities. They're from San Nicolas and Buenos Aires. My mother lived in San Nicolas and San Pedro, so that's very special to me. So all of the books will be translated to Spanish initially. I hope other languages as well. Poetry isn't something that appeals to everyone, but apparently it does appeal to pilots in some way. And we have pilots here tonight who were in this Beyond Haiku from the beginning.
I didn't know what a haiku was. I said, now I do. All that schooling paid off. So this is the haiku. God told me to fly up to the mountain sky. We will land in 5. So that haiku to me was kind of a symbolization of my dream of always wanting to be a pilot and always looking up to the sky. I always tell the story that when people ask, how did you get involved in aviation or what made you want to be a pilot? I always say, I think it's something that God told me even before I was born, is that you're going to be a pilot. So my head has always been turned up, and it's kind of surreal now when we're coming in to land and I press the PA button and tell the flight attendants prepare for landing. So it's kind of surreal that it's all coming full circle. So thank you.
I did this kind of as a joke because I don't know how.
This is the first time
She put it in. This is a joke on my part. I had no idea what a haiku was. I probably flunked poetry in high school. And it was on a trip, I think. New Year's Day. Had a bowl of ramen. Is this a haiku? And that's it.
I actually wasn't submitting these for this book. I was just sharing them with Linda, and she decided she was going to put a portion of them in. So I got a couple of former poems. And I'm going to read one, and remember, I am a writer for children and young adults. So this is my light and fun one, called Learning to Hover. The instructor threw up his hands and said, "You have control." I grabbed the cyclic and collected and tried hard not to roll. But this was work, a tug, a jerk, a full-on helmet fire. Could I succeed at this great deed, to hover this big gyre? My toes, they danced upon the deck to stop the copter's yaw. Then, like a pendulum, we rocked. That's when I barely saw brown, sludgy, sparkly spittle juice slosh inside his bottle as my instructor took control, then adjusted throttle. He took a breath and flicked a wrist. All I could do was stare as he quickly and so smoothly fixed the bird mid-air. Many years and so many hours have passed since I first tried, but now with great skill and precision, and here I do fly.
I found Captain Pauwels and her project, and I fell in love with it. So I emailed to ask if I could submit some poetry because I was feeling just overwhelmed with the situation and our aviation careers. So Haiku. Contagion found us silenced at the terminal. The world stopped spinning. And from here, I wish you all better luck in aviation.
Is Scarlett O'Malley. Scarlett is an illustrator in the first cover. She did The Planet and the Rose, and she also has illustrations in the second cover. So this is from longing for loved ones, flying hearts from here to there, delivering love. Thank you for your beautiful work, Scarlett. So Rebecca Heights is our next illustrator. And Rebecca, something special with Rebecca is that for the Amelia Earhart Poems, we created a secret poet society. So Rebecca was one of the 3 young artists in the Secret Poet Society. And she was given a poem, but wasn't told who illustrated who wrote the poem. Only that it was very old, and that she couldn't say anything. So Rebecca has 2 illustrations in the second book and 1 in the first book. So you can show it. This is an unpublished poem by Amelia Earhart, and this poem is: your hair has gold in its glinting brown, and your chaplet over your gentian gown hangs citron and silver, swinging low. You are a princess of long ago. The title of the poem is Moyen Age, and that's what Rebecca illustrated. So Grace illustrated a poem that I wrote because Grace is a young artist and student, very good student that I mentored. Her mother, Lorena, is a very good friend of mine. So she's a pilot support system, I would say. So the illustration that Grace prepared with a lot of love is a very difficult poem that I wrote. So Sebastián Molina is the grandson of Sandra Vela, who is a very also a good friend of mine and has been a support system for me for over 30 years. And Sebastián illustrated a haiku by a young pilot who went to the Cadet Academy. And Sebastián, why don't you show them your illustration? Then we will take pilot or pilot. Our final artist is Lily Graver, and Lily was a late entrant into this because I flew with her mama, Beth. We flew a trip to Barcelona, and I said, hey Beth, I'm doing this book, and how old is your daughter? Does she want to illustrate something? And Beth says, yes, she would love to. I said, well, I need an aquarellist. I said, do you think that Lily would like to do that? So Lily is illustrated an aquarellist for a collage. And let me show the Lily. This is also a haiku, and this is the final one of the evening for you all. Pearly red wings, strength and bloom, amaryllis. So there are several different artists have their impression of that haiku. So young artists, thank you very much. Proceeds from books are not very much. Everything will depend on sales, and sales are always driven by what people think of books and how well you're able to market them. And that's not really my thing, so we're learning about that. But the scope of the scholarships, the first one, Pilots Write Poetry, the entire proceeds in perpetuity, English and Spanish and every other language, will be donated to the Allied Pilots Association Emergency Relief and Scholarship Fund, because those are all pilots from American Airlines. The second book, Women Pilots Write Poetry, that will go to the Women in Aviation International, 99s, ISA plus 21, the Miami-Dade College I. Watson School of Aviation, and the American Society of Aviation Artists. So depending on how much we have, even if it's only $500 for each of them, we will donate proceeds yearly, on a yearly basis, tally them, and then send them to the local.
I encourage you to support this effort by purchasing Beyond Haiku books from your favorite local independent bookstore, Books for Books, and then please take the time to leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads, because book reviews help sell books. So please always review the books that you enjoy. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.